As there's a drive in a deep left field by Castellanos, it will be.
Oh man, it's 8 o'clock.
And so that'll make it a.
I don't need the spotlight. I shine just fine.
Hi, I'm Karma, and yes, I am a bitch.
Bruh, bros.
This is the kind of petty shit that I live for on these shows. She got gifts from Angie, and it was like Carastace, if I'm saying that the right way, shampoo, and conditioner. And the best part is as her daughter's reading the box, like, nope, sulfates. And I guess there's something in Meredith's hair.
If you get a keratin treatment, you can't use a sulfate in your shampoo or conditioner. Yes.
Got it. So the best part of that is she's like, Angie knows that. So she thinks that the shampoo were given to her as like a dig because I can't use sulfates.
Well, I think it's really funny because one, Angie owns a salon. Angie and Shawn own a salon. They probably do keratin treatments there. So you would think, hey, you know this. But also, Angie's commenting on Britney's hair, saying that she's got slutty hair and she needs a treatment like that. She needs to be able to do that so that it's not frizzy and it's not.
No, she didn't say that. Lisa Barlow said that.
Fine.
You do need a.
I'm saying that Angie did it, all right? It feeds into the narrative better if I say that Angie said it. But anyway, I think that it could have been a slight. I don't really know exactly, but also Angie probably didn't think about it, but it's also not a fucking gift to just give shampoo and conditioner when you own a salon.
Not true. That shit's expensive.
Sure.
If
but
you
not
own
if
a
you can't
salon,
use it.
you can't gift people shampoos.
It's free for them. Yeah. Go a little outside the
that's
box.
A stretch. Whatever.
That's not it's not the olive branch that Angie thinks
it's certainly not a bat mitzvah present. I'll give you that.
No,
you can do better than that. That's fair.
Well,
I'll give you that.
And we didn't know that there was a journal in there. Journals are fine.
The journal was nice.
Yeah.
But she gave that back too.
I know.
But
she said she wanted it back.
She said, what was the dude's name? I wrote it down. Rudy. She gives it to Rudy. Hey, can you go stick this on a chair, please? But anyway, we get to dinner. We take a drink stop. Oh, they got Vita tequila. Who'd have thought?
Of course.
Nice plant there, Lisa Barlow. Then Britney has an announcement. And every time this happens, I'd like hold my breath. I'm like, what are we talking about now, Britney? And she goes on to say that her and her daughter Olivia had a nice night. She came over. She spent the night. It was lovely. I'm trying to reconnect with my kids. And she gets crickets. And then she's upset that nobody has a response. It's like, all right, dude, I understand that you're sharing something close to your heart. I understand this is a big moment for you. The way that you go about your business is why you get these responses. You just pulled up to a bar on an island to have yourself like a nice little cocktail, lighten up, loosen up. You haven't been talking about anything deep. Nobody has. And you intro the night with big announcement, heavy shit about your daughter. So you're catching people off guard. They don't know where this is coming from. You're going to get weird reactions. Now, if this is a little bit later in the night, you're having a one-on-one with somebody and you say, like, oh my God, I had this great breakthrough moment with my kids. It lands differently. You bring up these huge things out of nowhere to everybody. And you've also done it so many times now that when you say I have an announcement, everyone's already laughing under their breath because they're like, all right, first it was Jared, then it was Jared again, then it was about your kids. Now it's about your kids again. Like you bring up these huge, huge topics out of left field with no buffer whatsoever. And then you get upset when people don't respond the way you want. But it's a bizarre scenario. If we just pulled up to a bar with like 8 of us and like the newbie in the group, if we had somebody come with us on a trip that we didn't know that well and they went big announcement and we'd already heard weird big announcements from them, I'd be like, Jesus Christ. And after hearing that, I'd be like, great. What do you want from us? Like,
yeah,
the timing. You do know and we will see it time and time again with her. She does herself no favors. Always. She always makes herself fight an uphill battle.
I think she's incredible. I think she is.
Oh my God, she's amazing. Whoa, don't take this the wrong way. It is incredible to watch. It is just astounding to see.
I think she is the absolute best that she's able to do this because let's not forget, in the first episode, she starts talking about how she has no relationship with her kids. And
Correct.
Mary immediately goes, well, that's weird. Why don't you have a relationship with your kids? Why are we talking about being a mother and you don't have a relationship with your kids? Why don't you butt out of it? And she got upset about that. So she just completely like wipes her mind every time. And you're right. That is the new person in a group that thinks that everything they're doing is iconic and it's going to be great and everybody's going to be so happy for me. They don't know you, because every time that we try to get to know you, you end up spinning off some crazy, unbelievable shit that has nothing to do with anything. And your comments are bizarre. And anytime that somebody shows a slight liking to you, or you identify it as a slight liking to you, as we see with Lisa a little bit later, you latch on to them and grab their arm and say, we're best friends now. You are unbelievably crazy, and I love it. She is so good for this show. She's such a great wild card to throw in there, and I'm so happy that she was able to go on this trip, because that was my biggest complaint. Why are we not inviting Britney to more things? Let's have Britney at every event, because she is an absolute wild card, and we need her there. And she also, again, if you're just nice to her, she will go to a confessional and say how you guys are best friends. And she will start planning your lives together. You can see it behind her eyes when she starts talking. She's like, oh my God, we are going to be the best friends ever. We're going to go on trips all the time. She's going to listen to me and everything's going to be great. And it's like, all she did was give you a water, Britney. And she gave you a water because it looked like you needed a water. That was about it.
Thirsty.
Yeah.
It could have been a
So
dig. She could be saying you're too thirsty. Like,
yeah.
The best part about like a Britney moment is that she will have a heart-to-heart with somebody, sharing information, and then gets upset about it later and uses that conversation against the person.
Yep.
Like, well, you said this. It's like, you were cool with it like 2 days ago. You sat and talked about it, and now you're using it as like ammo. It makes no sense. It's awesome and messy as shit. But that's the best part, is like, that's why she's such a conundrum and an enigma, because she doesn't realize she's doing it. Like other housewives, they know what they're doing. Her, it just comes out organically, and it's just baffling every time. I'm like, what? What is she doing? Yeah, she's the wild card we didn't know that we needed. But while we're at the drink stop, we get through the daughter announcement, and then Lisa asks about the villas. Like, what do we think, everybody? And of course, Bronwyn brings up the room assignments. You know, it's just weird to me that Lisa and I have been friends for the longest, and yet she stuck me in a villa with 2 people not speaking to me. Okay, fair point. But recency bias, what's going on now, right? Like, you don't get along with Meredith. You don't get along with Lisa right now. You're not getting along with Heather. You're not getting along with Britney. Like, this all makes sense. It all tracks that you got stuck in there. As you said earlier, Lisa did her homework somewhat. Yeah, she also knew that it would piss you off. I do believe that to be true. So it's a win-win for Lisa. But at the same time, just take it in stride. Like, you know, it's an awkward situation regardless of where you're at. And at the very least, what you're going to get from Angie and Whitney that you may not get from the other side is they're too awkward to not try to move forward with you. They will force the issue because they don't want to sit there silently. Like, that I do know to be true. And Angie will make the effort. Whitney will just forget as soon as you throw some money at her. So wrap up $1,000 in like a gangster role and throw it at Whitney. She'll be cool. And then just sit down with Angie. I promise you can hash it out with Angie within 10 minutes. She will sit down and have that conversation.
Angie is by far the best person in that group to get along with after having beef with her. Because all you have to do is listen, go back and forth a little bit, and then just say, you know what, I don't want to be here right now. I don't want to be in this place that we're in. Let's just apologize. And she'll go, that's what I wanted to. Thanks.
She'll squash it.
That's it. Yeah.
You get a better shot with that crew anyway. So like, that's my whole thing. She's so pissed about it, but at the same time, this could be advantageous for you. Yes, you could get numbies by being in Villa 2.
Yep.
Just accept the role. You're in a different spot now. You literally have like a potential to have Lisa at the head of this team, Bronwyn at the head of this team. Villa 1 versus Villa 2, which would be great TV.
And those people would follow you too, because Whitney is looking for somebody to follow. She is tired of getting thrown under the bus by Heather. She's not going to find any sort of common ground with Lisa. And whatever Lisa wants is what Meredith's going to have. She's not going to allow Whitney to be friends with her. So you will have Whitney by your side if you just do that. And Whitney's not the best person to have on your team by far, but you can just send her. It's a good pawn. Throw her out there, and she'll just confuse everybody and start talking about all this other stuff. And she'll probably start lying about something because she heard about something from a podcast. Angie will be your friend. Angie would be friends with anybody on this cast if they give her the time of day. That's a good person to have. You just don't step on her toes and leave her alone. And then you have both of them. And when Mary gets there, you're all getting along. You could have Mary too. Like, that would make the most sense. So I think it was a terrible play. And again, I do think she's being a big baby.
Yeah, no, I agree. And she brings up, you and Britney are new friends, and then Britney can't help her. She's like, maybe she likes me better than you now. I'm like, oh God.
That's what I'm talking about. Then you could see
Like,
her
oh God.
cozying up to Lisa a little bit too. She's like, "Oh, Lisa wanted me in her villa. Let me just
She
grab her arm and
continues
I'll sit here."
talking while Lisa's trying to talk to Bronwyn. She's still talking about her friendship with Lisa. It's like,
Uh-huh.
Britney, what Whitney says is unfortunately true. You are a pawn in this game that
Hmm.
is being moved around willy-nilly because it's easy to point you in a direction and let you go. And then you say something crazy. It doesn't work out in your favor. And
Yep.
around and around we go. That's the role of a wild card. She just doesn't know that that's her role, which makes it even better. It starts to devolve. Like it just gets, everyone's starting to yell at everybody. And this is when I start to agree with Bronwyn a little bit. She's like, I have an issue. I'm telling you what my issue is. You're so defensive that you won't hear me. You keep speaking
Hmm.
over me. You're not listening. This could have been squashed. But this is when I question how good of friends they actually were. Like, how well did you know Lisa? Or what is Lisa like off the show? Because the Lisa that we know, she's not going to sit there and listen to your reasoning. She's going to get defensive because she can't be wrong because she's Lisa Barlow. As she says, this is who I am. If you don't like it, too bad. That's who I am. I'm not going to change for anybody. She even says it here when Whitney's like, all you have to say is I hear you and I'm sorry I made you feel that way. She's like, well, I don't say what you want me to say ever. I'm never going to do that. I'm like, we know that.
We
We're well
know.
aware of that. Why is Bronwyn not aware of that? You have to understand. It's like you said, if you want the apology from Elisa Barlow, you're going to have to let her get every word out.
Yep.
Let her speak it out and then be like, okay, but you made me feel bad. And you might actually get her to be like, all right, well, I'm sorry for that part. Like you can get it. We've seen
And
it
then
happen.
you have to swallow it and say, "I'm sorry" back.
Yeah. And that's the only way to move
Yep.
on. And like, I don't know if we're going to get that. I don't think we are. It doesn't appear that Bronwyn's capable of doing that.
I don't think
I
so.
don't think
Yeah.
she wants to bite the bullet, which I also respect, but I do think the Villa thing's being blown out of proportion. I don't think
Yeah.
it's that big of a deal. And then it starts, the lack of gratitude's insane. I'm like, dude, this is a layup for Bronwyn. Just
Hmm.
say what she did on your trip and then stop talking about it. If she thinks you're ungrateful, just say you complained about having a commercial flight back. Like she was clearly much more ungrateful. I don't think Bronwyn's ungrateful. I think that she's questioning the room assignment, and it
Yep.
starts to break down into an ungrateful conversation. And Britney jumps back in. You're just being ungrateful. You have no gratitude. It's like, Britney, how many times in this whole group, throughout the whole season, when there's an argument going on and you insert yourself into the argument, have people told you to shut up?
Yep.
It's happened almost every single episode. People go off. Britney inserts herself. People tell Britney to shut up. Britney gets upset. Britney starts crying. Britney starts lying. That is the merry-go-round of Britney. Then she lies about things that have actually happened, that we've seen happen, that she seemingly forgets that we've seen, and creates a whole pile of shit for herself.
Every single time that Britney gets involved, that's all she ends up doing. And I agree. I think that Bronwyn going at it like this, she shouldn't have started speaking about things being ungrateful. She should have just left it and said, "I'm questioning the room assignments because I thought we were good. Am I good with you, or did you pawn me off to the second villa?" You have to be direct with Lisa too. You have to ask her point blank questions.
No subtleties.
Otherwise, there will be other things being brought up. There will be other sort of like circles that she's going to bring in, and she's got things that she's been thinking about for weeks at this point that she's going to throw at you. You have to ask her point blank, "Are we good? Because you putting me in a second villa makes it look like we're not good." And if she says, "Well, I don't understand why you're ungrateful," then you just stay on that first question. And she didn't do that. It's just an ungrateful off, and we don't want to see that.
Yeah, no, it's not good for TV as an ungrateful off, because I don't think, I think Lisa was ungrateful about the flight. Sure.
Yep.
I think she clearly enjoyed the trip. Bronwyn's clearly not being ungrateful. She's
Mhm.
questioning the room assignment. Like you said, let's keep it to that.
Yep.
But it starts to break down. Then we get to the regift from Meredith because Angie finds the bag. She's like, "Oh, what is this, Meredith?" And Meredith's just got this shit-eating grin on her face, like, we'll see. And she's like, "Well, I heard you wanted everything back." She's like, "Did I say that? I don't know. Did you say that? I don't think I said that." "Well, I heard you said that." "Well, I didn't say that. Do you think I said that?" "I think you said that." That was gold.
That was
The back and
incredible.
forth was fucking amazing.
And we get nowhere from it. Did she say it? I don't know. I have no idea what's going
I
on
don't know
anymore.
if she said it. Like, I have no idea. Like, that's what
Yep.
they do. They confuse the audience. And she's like, "Well, I brought you a gift." And now Britney jumps in yet again. And when she catches flack for it, she still acts so surprised. She gets a bag tossed at her.
Yep.
Here, you need this for your burnout hair. I'm like, damn. And she throws the bag of shampoo. Yes, she tossed it. No, it didn't fall out of the bag. Just own it. Don't then backtrack and be like, oh God, you threw it. That's what happened.
I didn't know the bag was upside down. How'd you throw it in the first place?
Yeah, exactly. Like, what are we talking about here? But she gets the advantage and then she fumbles it every single time because she starts going in on Angie. She's like, you're saying that I'm effing 15 people. No, she's not. No, she isn't. She never has. And I forget who stands up for her, but it's somebody that wasn't even involved. It's like, no, she said 3. She said 3.
Yeah.
It was Heather.
Yeah.
And it's this scene where we didn't see it yet. Britney was sent flowers. They read the flowers. And she says, yeah, and you said I was effing 3 people, whatever. The number constant, it was 10 people last week. It's 15 people this week. But Heather's like, I didn't hear effing. At any point did I hear effing?
No.
We get the scene. And this is why it's so hard to be a friend to Britney and why I wouldn't be a friend with Britney, because no matter what you say, it might be used against you later. Angie innocently asks, does your dad know that you're doing 3 guys? Britney takes it totally fine and goes, yeah, he dated like 8 chicks at the same time. It's whatever. So you're not upset about the doing 3 guys thing. You've also
the same thing about the wine. The wine was the exact same situation. She brings a bottle of wine over. You think it's a little weird in your confessional, but you accept it and you're nice about it. And then you send her a text saying that was so thoughtful that you brought that wine. But then you go to a dinner there, the lunch at Mary's the next day, and you sit there and say that it was offensive that you brought her wine because it's a Mormon party. Then why are you sending a thank you? Like, everything she does is so inconsistent, and it just points to her being absolutely off the rails. She is so crazy, and that's what makes for such great TV, because she could say one thing and be completely fine with it. In this scene, Angie has been consistent. She has said not effing, she says doing 3 guys, which is, a semantics game. It's the same fucking thing. But still, you're okay with it. And you say that your dad's doing 8 chicks. So now we've got a family history here where you're all dating, you're all polygamists. Yeah.
We don't care.
We don't give a shit. And then you go off of this soliloquy about how everybody needs to be open sexually. It's like, oh, we're okay with it. But your inconsistencies of when you're going to get mad about it and when you're going to be happy about it and brag about it don't add up, because now we don't even want to talk to you, because I could be nice to you. You could be okay with it. And then you're going to throw it in my face the next day and say that I'm a terrible person. So why would I even talk to you in the first place?
You're talking about being sex forward, and yet you're so ashamed of being sex forward.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. You're saying 18 different things. The poor waiter is standing there just trying to get some orders.
Yeah.
And he can't get a word in. And then Meredith says to Angie, she's like, I don't understand why you even wanted to come to the bat mitzvah. And I'm like, all right, dude, like, you invited her. It's that simple.
I was thankful for this, though, because at least it got us off of the Britney versus Angie thing, which we were getting nowhere with. So at least we can have a constructive conversation here.
A construction conversation. Yeah. So we're talking about construction.
Yeah, it's and yellow vests and horns and stuff.
Meredith doesn't understand why she showed up. It's like, if I'm Angie, it's a good opportunity to potentially smooth things over. Go to the bat mitzvah. Angie's grateful to be there. I don't think she went in there with bad intentions. I think that the night took a turn and shit happened. But I'm really, really glad that Bronwyn steps in and goes, well, if we're going to do this, she wasn't slut-shaming her. Britney called Angie a slut first. And then she breaks down the timeline, and it started out with her saying, well, if I'm doing that, Angie's probably doing that. We heard her say it, that Angie was sleeping around on Shawn with 3 other guys. Again, much more weight to that one because she's married with a child, whereas Britney is single. And that's the funniest part. If you were sex
confirming that she's with 3 guys.
Right. And if you just leaned into it, we wouldn't even, that's not a crazy thing to be dating around and sleeping with a few dudes. Nobody would bat an eye. They'd be like, okay, cool, great. Let's move on from this conversation. You're the one that seems to think it's slutty because you keep bringing it up. And then you throw it on Angie. And then Bronwyn points out, like, time out. If we're going to do this, I'm going to throw Britney under the bus now. She started it. And that's the only time that Meredith's able to, like, reel it in and be like, well, maybe I didn't have the whole story, and hearing this now, it's like, yeah, dude, there was a whole lot there. This whole thing was a she said about who's a slut and who's not a slut.
Yep.
yeah, Angie took the upper hand because she started saying high body count hair and took it a different level, sure. But if we're going to break down who threw the first stone, it was Britney. But Britney forgets that. It's even more confusing because we roll the tape back of Britney being seemingly okay with talking about doing multiple men. It's all so confusing. The same thing as you said with the wine. She walks in, she's like, oh my God, but then sends a very heartfelt text message saying thank you. And it finally gets to a point where Heather again speaks up and she's like, this is about hypocrisy. She's trying to point out the hypocrisy in the fact that you denied the bottle of wine or got upset about the bottle of wine, with the fact that you think that you're getting slut shamed, but you're out here openly talking about doing multiple men. It's hypocrisy at its finest. And thank God that Heather spoke up. And this is, again, when she's at her best. Just sit on the sideline, and when you find your opportunity, jump in and spit some knowledge and get us all on the same page. Yeah, watching Britney is frustrating because we see this. And then she gets on like this hurt puppy dog parade where she's like, oh, you hurt my feelings. You called me a slut. It's like, no, you confirmed you were banging 3 dudes. That's not slutty behavior. You're just having some fun figuring it out. Great. Lean into it. We don't care. But to say that Angie slut shaming you when you questioned her faithfulness to her husband before she did that, that's the problem. You are the problem. You're consistently the problem. I love it. I can't get enough of it. But watching it in real time, her try to spin this web when she's incapable of doing it, and then to end it with, I thought this was a sex-forward world. It's like you have no game left to play, and now you're throwing out there that people are insensitive to your sexuality, which is simply not the case. You can try to hide behind it.
At least while she's spiraling, and everybody can see that she's spiraling because we're actually getting evidence to the contrary of what everybody else thought, where there's half of the room thought that Angie was just slut-shaming Britney, and the other half heard what Britney had said earlier through Bronwyn. There's so much going on here that we're able to actually just piece together a picture of who Britney is and realize, hey, we shouldn't be fighting over things that Britney's doing because she's crazy. So we can now have a conversation, just Meredith and Angie, where we can maybe get past this because we don't have to talk about her anymore because that's clearly a full misunderstanding. Should it have happened at a bat mitzvah? No. But at least it forces us to sit here and say, wow, were we really fighting over Britney? That's insane. Let's talk. And that's the best.
They talk and they're able to be like, all right, let's try to move forward. If you keep the wild card out of serious conversations, you'll get somewhere. If you let Britney slither her way in and start talking shit, it's going to get very confusing because none of us know what actually happened because she said one thing and was happy about it. And then it's like when Lisa stuck up for her with Jared. And then we see them after the ziplining thing and she's like, you ruined my relationship with Jared. It's like, you were just kikiing over this shit. Like, what are you talking about?
You just can't trust a wild card at the end of the day.
You know, that's what it all comes down to. You can't trust a wild card. But let's get to some questions. From 15 AMG, did Bronwyn study too much game film? Save some storyline for next season, girl. That's a good way to put it, I think. I think maybe she might have done a little too much research and just, I don't know. That's an interesting
possibility.
Theory.
Yeah.
And now she's overreacting to things potentially.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that it's a matter of, look, we've got a thing in sports where you hit the rookie wall, where you're not used to playing the game for this long. It happens a lot in football when you're usually playing, 12 games in college football. Then you get to the NFL, you got to play 18 games. You get a little tired around week 12. That might be what we're seeing with Bronwyn. She's letting a little too much get to her. It seems like it's coming off like she's trying too hard. She still has really good moments where she's able to bring something that she heard earlier into a conversation that is relevant, that continues to stir the pot more. And then she can kind of back out of it, just leave the nugget of information there and move on because it's going to further the storyline. Those things are all great. I think she just needs to clean it up a bit.
I think that's a good way to put it. Yeah, I think she's still doing well. She definitely took a step back this episode, but look, it's going to happen. Happens to the best of us.
Yep.
From Christina Teresa, is Britney trying to manipulate the group? No.
No, that's just who she is.
She's just being herself. She doesn't know what's going on.
From Enge Ziskin, did anyone write and explain what bridge and tunnel is and how is it not about trolls? Yes, we actually got
a
15
million people.
emails.
We got emails, messages, like we got tagged and shit. I didn't realize that was going to be such a big sticking point. People really wanted to let us know. that bridge and tunnel means that you're tacky and not from the city. It means you're like Staten Island or a suburb. So when you come in through the bridge or the tunnel, you look tacky. I cannot count the amount of people that told us what's up. So yes, we understand now what it means. I like my definition better for what it's worth.
Another good one here from Jazz and A. Do the bros think that Heather regrets bringing Britney onto the show? No.
No, Heather knows what she's doing.
Yeah, she's very entertaining. And Heather, like Steele just said, knows exactly what she's doing.
From Maggie Justice. Crazy more wasn't said about the dog attack. How scary. Think more will be said? I hope so. I agree. I thought we glossed over it very quickly.
I don't think that they're going to talk more about it, though, unless, there's like another scene next week where I don't know. I don't think they're going to talk more about it. It did seem really crazy for it to be a one-off little situation, though.
I think that's a good way to put it. The fact that there was nothing more said about it.
Yeah.
From It's Sin, which villa would the bros stay in? Which one would you stay in?
Probably Villa 1. Lisa and Meredith, and no,
Villa 2. Yeah, I think I would get very irritated in Villa 1.
I think I would get irritated in Villa 2 just from Whitney, probably, and then it's Bronwyn complaining that she's not in Villa 1. Yeah, Villa 1 just seems like the place to be.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm in Villa 2. That's fine. We don't have to stay together, but we're not going to complain about it.
Yeah, I'm not going to complain about it. Whatever. I'll just see you at the beach, bro.
I'll probably just go take a shit in your bathroom and not tell you.
That's fine. Catch you down at the pool.
Yeah. Catch me down the pool side. How about that? Let's do one more. From C Right Fam 6. This is what I was talking about. Rephrasing my question. Did you ask another one? That's neither here nor there. If Bronwyn, Angie, and Mary teamed up, could they overthrow the OGs? This is what I was saying. I think that if Bronwyn went in there with a different approach, she would have a team on her hands. And I think that she needs it once she realizes that Lisa Barlow on TV is different than the Lisa Barlow that you knew for the past 10 years.
Yeah.
I don't think she wants to be on someone else's team. I think she secretly really does care about Lisa's opinion.
Yeah, I don't think that they'd be able to rival the OGs at all, but it would potentially make for a pretty interesting storyline, just a little bit of a team up. But
sure.
Yeah, and we generally try to stay away from team ups unless it's necessary, but I still think that would have been a better move than just complaining about the rooms.
Yeah, I don't mind, some contingencies.
Yeah,
but
if it's fair and
if
it changes.
Yeah, it can't be the same forever because that gets really old really quick. But yeah, I agree with you. But anyway, that about does it here at the Brav Brews. So you got anything else?
Check you later.
Check you later.